Welcome to part 2 of how to play the horn. We're excited to have you here. I hope that you find these videos helpful. We're going to start right off with how to open the case. Now it seems kind of silly, but it's important that we open the case correctly so that we don't cause any damage to the instrument. Now normally I'm going to start with my case on the floor. Actually my case is actually right there on the floor. But I'm going to grab it because it is latched so it's not going to fall open. And I'm just going to show you a couple things before we open it up. First of all, most cases have a logo. Not all, every case is different, but most have a logo of some kind, and that logo is usually on the top of the case. Okay, so this is the top. Notice on this other side, there's no logo there. Okay, so, and then the next thing is this handle. The handle is almost always on the bottom half of the case. See here that it's on the bottom. If I open this up, this handle will stay down there. And that's so that the handle doesn't flap around when you're opening the case and stuff. And then the latches. Now these latches are a little different than most, but it opens and then the bulk of the latch is going to stay on the bottom of the case. Again, so it's not in the way when you're opening it up. So I'm going to set it down on the ground before I open it all the way up. So you see I got my horn here. I open the latches. And then just open it up. And you'll notice right away that it's in there, it's not falling out. And you'll see I have a cloth on mine. A nice handy cloth is a good one to have for your instrument. And I'll talk about that in a second. For now, I just set that aside. Grab your instrument, pull it out. Grab the mouthpiece. So I got my horn out of the case. Have my mouthpiece. You just take that mouthpiece and you just set it right here in the lead pipe. This is called the lead pipe. And you just twist it a little bit just so that it's not loose. You just don't want it to be. If you just set it right in there, sometimes it's a little loose. So you just twist it a little bit. Don't tap on it. And of course, don't drop your instrument. If you drop it and it lands on the mouthpiece, it's going to get stuck. If your mouthpiece does get stuck, ever get stuck, it happens all the time. So you're not in big trouble. Just come talk to me or to your band director, and we have this device. It's called a mouthpiece puller that will help to pull that mouthpiece out without damaging your instrument. If you get it stuck and you try and wrench and twist and get it to come off, you could break this solder point where this piece of metal is holding this lead pipe still. And if that breaks and then this lead pipe gets loose, you could break that. You're going to cause a lot of damage to your instrument. So if it gets stuck, just talk to myself or a band director and we'll help you get it unstuck. One of the important things about playing a brass instrument is knowing how to make sure that these valves work well. And what you're going to find is from time to time, one of these valves will get a little sticky and won't work very good. So you'll need to oil that valve. And so what you use is, this is a certain brand of rotary valve oil for this horn. These are rotary valves because inside here, as I push this down, it actually twists this valve so it turns. Okay, and so that's called a rotary valve as opposed to a piston valve. And so for this instrument, you want to make sure you get rotary valve oil. And then and I'm going to show you how to use that. So you set your horn in your lap like this. Take your valve oil, of course, take the cap off. And then you just take off one of these little caps here. Okay, and that's going to open up this case. Make sure you don't lose the cap. I always just keep it in my hand. That way I don't lose it. And then you just drop a drop of oil right on the center part of that valve. Okay, and then just work it in there a little bit. Sometimes it'll get a little stuck. You might have to use both fingers to work it in. You can even pull this slide out a little bit with that valve not depressed. And it will actually cause some suction, and it'll help to pull some of that valve oil into the valve, and then just release that pressure before you push that valve back in. Okay, so that's one way we get the oil in there. When you're done doing that, before you move it around, because that oil will spill out, put that cap back on. And then another thing you can do is turn it over to the back side. And back here, you'll see all these little buttons. So here's our first valve we were just working on right here. And on that little seam in between, kind of below that string, you can put another little drop of oil right there. Sometimes that'll help also with the horn, getting that valve to work well. Okay, and that's where I would start. I wouldn't do anything else just yet. If that helps it and it's working good, then just leave it alone. So the biggest thing is if your valves are working great, leave them alone. Don't put anything on there, leave them alone. If they feel like they're just a little bit sticky, go ahead and put some valve oil on there. And if those two methods that I showed you are not working and it's still sticky, come talk to me or talk to your band director and we'll help you out. You can put a comment in here and I can try and help you that way too. I showed you earlier this cloth, and it's nice to have a cloth on hand. Sometimes it'll drip water out the end of the bell, or it will, or you know, when you're blowing, there's condensation and as well as other stuff that comes out. It's nice to have a little cloth on hand just to wipe things up. And then before you put it away, you can just wipe it up real quick. You don't have to do that every day. It's not vital. It's just to kind of keep it looking nice. So it's nice to have a cloth on hand. And then when you're done, you just take the mouthpiece off, put the instrument back in the case. There's usually a little spot for the mouthpiece to go, so I put that in there. I put my cloth, I fold it like this, and I always put it right on top of my horn because it's really small and narrow, and it's not going to cause any problems. Don't forget to put your valve oil back in the case if there's a spot for it. If there's not a spot for it, then you might have to keep it somewhere else. And then close and latch the case. And then you're good to go, and you can go put it away in band or whatever. Practice doing that, just getting your instrument out, putting the mouthpiece on, holding it, maybe wiping it down a little with a cloth, and then putting it back away. Practice that 2 or 3 or 4 times, okay? Because you're going to need to be able to get to class, get your instrument out, and get ready for band really quickly, and then you're going to need to be able to put it away quickly so you can get to your next class on time. And so it's a really good thing to practice a few times on your own at home without a lot of distractions around. Because once band happens, there's going to be kids everywhere, right? And so that gets a little tricky. So do that. Again, oil valves only when they're needed. If it's not needed, then don't worry about oiling it. If for some reason your instrument comes with a long snake, it's called a snake. Sometimes it has a little brush on the end. It's a little floppy metal thing. I would highly recommend do not put that into your instrument. Don't use that. What you need to do is just make sure you don't play with food in your mouth. Rinse your mouth out before you play, and then wipe it down when you need to. Oil the valves when you need to. And other than that, you don't really need to do much to it other than maybe once a year take it to a repair technician and have them just do a quick cleaning of it. And just a yearly cleaning. And that's about all you need to do. And it'll take care of it and your instrument will be just fine. Other than obviously being careful with it and not dropping it and that sort of thing. Okay? So those are the biggest things to taking care of your instrument. On our next video, we'll cover some more things about how to play. On our next video, we'll cover some more things about the horn, and we'll continue on that one. So catch me next time.